Hey guys, so if you suspect that someone you know is taking fentanyl, you're probably wondering what those symptoms are. So that way you can recognize them and possibly do something about it. The way I didn't know how to because I didn't know what to look for. So I thought I would talk about some of the symptoms that I saw and that I noticed. And keep in mind, everybody's different. Everybody has different personalities, habits, a different body type, so they may process it differently. But there's just so many red flags that I noticed afterwards that I wish that I noticed before. So I thought I would go over those. And, um, it might be a little hard for me to talk about because I wish that I did things differently. I wish that I had been nosier. I wish that I went through his phone. I wish that I had asked him more questions, went through his receipts, talked to his friends, things like that. Googled the symptoms of fentanyl use. I mean, if I had just done that, I probably would have noticed something was wrong. But I didn't. And I'm hoping that me talking about what I went through and what I noticed after the fact might save someone else's life or might make them realize that maybe this is not something they want to do anymore because it's scary. It's literally like playing Russian roulette. So, they say hindsight is 2020. And when you go through a traumatic event or loss, it really makes you go back to every single memory of that person and that event and evaluate what you could have done differently, right? I mean, that's what we do if you love the person. And there are so many things that I wish I had seen that I didn't notice till afterwards. So I have to preface the answer to that with I grew up probably different than a lot of people did. I grew up in a very protected Christian home. We weren't around drugs. We weren't around people that did drugs. Of course, I was around some of that in my later teenage and years and my early 20s. But I really didn't have any experience with people who did those sort of things. Like I really tried to stay away from that. So I didn't know what to look for when it happened to my husband. And normally one of the biggest signs is, a lack of money, not paying bills, not putting gas in the car. And those things did happen once in a while, but not every single day, not every single week. Mark was really smart about how he handled what he was doing, to the point where it wasn't every day and he did it so sporadically and so not obviously that I didn't know. And I knew something was wrong once in a while. Things I would notice would be like his pupils being super tiny, him sweating profusely and it'd be like cold outside, falling asleep in weird places, like just sitting up on the couch in the middle of the day, like on a weekend, or falling asleep in the shower, or, falling asleep on a friend's chair in the garage where his friend was making fun of him and taking pictures and videos and thought it was funny when he probably almost could have died. And that's another thing I want to talk about, guys. Make sure you know who your friends are because these people were supposedly his friends and they all knew what he was doing. And nobody said a word to me, his parents, his siblings, nobody. And once he passed away, then they said, well, I wish I would have said something. And that says a lot because if you're really a friend of that person, you're not going to let them destroy themselves like that. So make sure you watch the company that you keep because everyone who says they're your friend is probably not always going to be a real friend. But some of the other things where, he would say that he had food poisoning, that he was sick to his stomach, he was in the bathroom a lot. he would just always want to take hot showers. Like, he was freezing, he had the chills. He'd be in the shower like 4 or 5 times a day, which was not normal for him. Normal for him was like maybe one or two. But he lied about this tool bill that he had. He told me that he had to pay it off, and that's why he didn't have the money for a bill that week. And I was digging through the console in his car because we were out running errands. And as soon as I started digging through the console, he kind of like tried to close it so fast that he almost closed my hand in it. And that should have been a red flag. I should have thought to myself, well, why was he hiding it so badly? And the reason was because he had a receipt in there that said he only paid $20 for his tool bill instead of what he told me, which is that he paid off the whole bill because the person who owned it was going out of business. So if I had just been a little bit more nosy, then I think all the time, maybe he'd be here. Maybe things would be different. Yeah, it's just, there are so many things that I wish I would have done differently. There are things that he said to me that I thought were odd at the time, but I would have never, ever, ever, ever thought that he was taking fentanyl. One of the odd things that he said to me was, don't you ever forget how much I love you and how much you mean to me. There was another time where he said something about, if something ever happens to me, just make sure you do this or that. And just things that did not add up or make sense until after he passed away. So, yeah, just keep in mind, everyone's different, and it just depends on the lengths they're going to go to try to hide things. And with Mark, I think he was so ashamed. He didn't want anyone to know that he was doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing again, because he had put his family through hell at one point. He was in rehab, which is not cheap. And then, in and out of people's houses, sleeping on their couches, and he just didn't have his stuff together. So I don't think he wanted anyone to know that he was kind of back in a place where he needed help. And for me, the hardest thing was, I was his person. He should have been able to come to me. And why did he feel so ashamed that he couldn't come and talk to me? I'm supposed to be that one person that you're supposed to open up to. And it was really hard to deal with. It's still really hard to deal with, knowing all those things and not really knowing what was happening until after he passed away. So I hope that some of these red flags help someone. As you could see, some of the other things on the website are restlessness, yawning, chills, irritability, runny nose, watery eyes, sweating, muscle pain, overall weakness, stomach cramps, widened pupils. That is a sign of withdrawal, though. When they're on it, usually their pupils will be super tiny. Joint pain, backache, fast breathing, high blood pressure. That was another symptom he had. His doctor actually wanted him to go on medication, and I thought it was stress or, just family hereditary genetic issues, heart issues. I had no idea that that was one of the symptoms. And like I said, if I had looked all this stuff up, I would have known. And then you have nausea and vomiting. So like I said, he was in the bathroom a lot doing one or the other, and not to be gross, but it's just a typical symptom of fentanyl abuse, or really any opioid abuse. But yeah, I hope this helps someone. My only reason for coming on here and talking about all this stuff is just so someone does not have to go through what me and my family go through every single day. When you have to hear your child repeatedly say, "Daddy, daddy, daddy, daddy," all day long, it breaks your heart. It breaks your heart because there's nothing you can do about it. Once it happens, there's no going back. So, I hope that what I'm talking about resonates with someone, and maybe they make a different decision. But I think it's super important that we need to get the awareness out there. We need to start talking about this more. We need to start calling our elected officials and demanding answers as to why the stuff is still flooding our borders. I feel like they just don't care, or they're being paid to shut up and look the other way. So there has to be more that can be done. But yeah, I will get on here and make some more videos soon. I need to do some more research behind things. I don't want to just come on here and not bring any documentation. A lot of people do that these days, and it's not the right thing to do. So leave your story in the comments. If you want to come on and discuss things one night, let me know. I will leave my email in the description box. And thank you for watching. Once again, my name is Jenna, and this is Those Fentanyl Left Behind. Hope you have a great night.